Hi, it's been a little while since I did my last video. I think I've moved since then. Something's going off on my computer. I don't know what that is, but let's ignore it. Okay, I want to do a video today about prayer because I know that a lot of prayers that I've recently been doing have come to fruition and some others haven't. And a lot of people, some say God doesn't answer prayers, and their argument tends to go like, if prayer circles worked, then people will be able to regenerate body parts, their legs of amputees, and they'll be able to bring back people's sight and that kind of thing. Well, I beg to disagree. I see changes in technology where these are possibilities now. And this may not have come through prayer, but it's come through our evolving through technology and evolving our knowledge. But knowledge is also something that we sometimes pray for and hope that some knowledge or some new technology will come along and change situations for people. So these things are coming, and we know that they're coming and they're going to happen, but when sometimes a lot of people have passed away, they've passed away from cancers, and then maybe suddenly something comes up where there's a cure for that cancer, and people are left thinking, oh, had that person been around still, now they may have survived this. So our prayers, I don't think, are futile, but sometimes they're a long time being answered, and sometimes they're a lot too late. And I'm not saying that when things go right that God did it or prayers did it. We find everything we once saw as impossible as possible, and I do believe that everything is possible. It's just that our non-beliefs of those things being possible sort of block our way to making them happen. And it's this absolute knowing that it can't be done that I believe is the block to what is possible and what is becoming possible. Everything, comes eventually. No expectation, exceptions rather. Because of these blocks and lack of belief, we need to instead believe that some of these things can be done and will be done. And some of these prayers that we say will be done, this will be done, and as I say, sometimes a bit too late. If we believed in our prayer and absolutely believed in it, I think if everybody absolutely believed in prayer and had no blockages to the fact that something may not work or might not work or isn't going to work, if there was nobody for putting those blocks in the path, then I think that somehow, some way, all these things would manifest almost immediately because we're totally in alignment with those things. And we believe that will happen, and that belief can set a path that will be a smooth path without any of those things and fears coming in the way. And so we tend to put these blocks before our dreams manifesting all the time. And this is the way in which the universe is aligned. It's always in a state of wanting to heal and to make things better and to fix and mend. And this is what we see in nature. Everything that grows is persistent. We see the persistence of life as it flourishes. But as we no longer are persistent in our own beliefs, we actually bring it to a point where it can't work, it can't happen, because we're not going to work for it anymore. We're not going to make it happen. We're not going to believe it anymore. So if we're relying upon another person to fix everything, then the time scale of the healing will take a lot longer. It will be lengthened. Not only this, if we're not believing in this other person, then he too is hindered by the battle against where the negative energies are blocking his own path to get the job done. Miracles do happen where there is a smooth flow of energy. A miracle happening happens because we've got that smooth flow to the outcome. So miracles are possible. They really are. I really believe that miracles are possible, and anything can happen if we absolutely are determined enough to make them happen and let them be. And if we're expecting God to completely eliminate things like breast cancer, then we're also thinking the energies are not aligned, and so no miracle occurs. The effort spending praying is not a waste of time. The more energies are aimed at creating the outcome, the more positive the result, since everything is aligned in favour of that miracle. And that doesn't mean that if you're praying and you don't, that you have to stop physically doing anything to make that happen. That's just not going to work, is it? I mean, we all have to actually physically take action as well to make something worse. If we want something to work, then, you know, we have to do something to make it happen. But there's a lot of naysayers out there, and we all chip in physically too. So, for example, if your friend has been diagnosed with cancer, if we actually do something nice for the family and take something to the home as a gift, or take care of the children for a little while so that person can recover a lot better from their treatment, we can raise money for cancer research, or we could go sit by the hospital bedside and read to them, bring happy movies and watch them in the hospital with them. All the things that are positive, bring positive energy and create that flow of better energy to a better outcome. Now, my beliefs are not of a religious nature, but I do believe that belief is a very strong influence in our outcomes. So I guess if I must label how I believe it should be, that how I believe, it will be more of a metaphysical nature. My beliefs have more of a scientific ideal, yet can't be defined as science. And I have a lot of people saying, oh, this isn't science, so it isn't real. Because science itself hasn't become far enough in alignment with a visionary's vision. Many scientists are in awe at Tesla's inventions, that they deny visionaries' visions, and Tesla himself was a visionary. So, you know, and scientists would say, well, this isn't actually real, it's not factual. Visions and visionaries aren't science. So many deny that there is a universal law that exists. Much of what Jesus said, so I'm going to go into a bit of religion now. Much of what Jesus said was of a metaphysical ideal, and obviously religion has made it about religion. So we need to speak about what Jesus said, and he said, ask and it will be given, seek and you will knock, and the door will be opened, and anyone asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be given. So these things are sort of in true alignment with believing in the asking, believing in wanting something, and making that path possible. He also said, I tell you the truth, for I have faith and do not doubt. Not only can you do what the fig tree, but also you can say to the mountain, go throw yourself to the sea, and it will be done. And if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. He also said, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe you have received, and it will be yours. So these things, again, are all in alignment with metaphysical ideals, with what some people call quantum physics even. You know, it comes in alignment with positive thoughts and observations. We are all full of non-belief of each other, non-belief in the miracle and all the possibilities. I've heard people say that God does not answer all of these different kinds of prayers, and it's obvious through casual observation. It's also easily proven with statistics that praying, they say, does nothing. But what we're also witnessing is the power of coincidence. This is what people say. They say that coincidence is what's happening out there, and if something actually comes right because you pray for it, it's a coincidence. Without actually thinking about the universal laws that exist, which puts things into a greater probability, into alignment with these laws. For instance, cause and effect, as I've said above, the need to actually physically take help or do something to help, to physically do something, to make something happen. But there's also the other universal laws as well, and those are the laws of mentalism, the things that are all in the mind, the universal mental correspondence, as well as so below, as below, so above, or vice versa. Nothing rests, and everything moves, and everything is in vibration. So there's the law of vibration, the law of polarity. Everything is dual. Well, we know that with duality. We're thinking everything is in different poles. Everything has its opposite, and the same opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree, extremes. They all meet with paradoxes. And this may be reconciled with the law of rhythm and cycles. Everything flows out and in. Everything has tides. All these rise and fall, and these manifest in everything. The measure of the swing to the right and the measure of the left rhythm compensates. The law of gender. Gender is everything. Everything is masculine and feminine. It has masculine and feminine principles on all planes, and of course, as I've already mentioned, cause and effect. Every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to chance, but a name for law is not recognised. There are many planes for causation, so that we can escape those laws. You see, everything has a resonance, everything vibrates, and that's what makes energy in the form of, for instance, through vibration. It can be measured in many ways. Rhythm is just one of those measurements. If you take a wave, it has two peaks, one above and one below, and the distance between them are a full wave and its full frequency. What you are close to are the scientific laws here, but as I say, it isn't science. It's all energy interacting, and we alter these energies with conscious thought. And so you see, that's where, when we are consciously praying, we are altering energies. If you use them consciously as a good salesman or a counsellor or a manager, then your results will require a team or a person that is actually physically in the know and doing things to create that. But that doesn't mean to say that the prayer doesn't help. The support of those energies going in the right flow doesn't help those people become successful. So science is a mere human perspective, from the micro to the macro, where we're able to measure a small part of the whole. Even science knows this, so it knows so little of the truth. We are just a speck of consciousness trying to make sense of it all, but we do affect the whole with our observation, and many science are evidence-based. Therefore, they say it must be truth. They say it can't be proven, then it can't be true scientifically. But evidence comes only from this human perspective, through this limited brain and these limited tools which these people are making with limited brains to measure the universe and everything around us. And we are so small, from the micro to the macro. We'll look out to that vast space out there, and we can't really make sense of it, not even with the tools that we've got. And what we observe on a macro scale, for instance, as they've searched for the boson-Higgs particles, they are concerned at how even observing the particle can alter it. So even if we're looking at something, even our own perception of it changes that thing. And the universe is all in order, yet it's chaotic because we are, and our thoughts are. So we need to get out of the chaotic thinking. And when we get into prayer and everything, we are actually getting into a focus. We're focusing on something rather than, and it's the same with, obviously, with meditation, when we start to focus on the nothing and then maybe one thing, and then slowly we sort of gradually go back to everything, right from nothing to everything. It's all absolute. So neither do I don't condemn or judge anybody, religious people or their human ideals. We're all in this chaos because of our own chaotic minds and chaotic thoughts. And I don't condemn any religious people for their belief, and I actually like to think I would embrace all belief systems as true for each individual on a human level. And also place science along with this. So let's say that God is the universe of which we're all within, and the universe is a computer. And surely we need to communicate with that computer to bring all that we are unsure of into oneness. And we would like that to happen in the world and to ourselves. When we're communicating with this computer, we need to be careful not to communicate selfishly. This is something that is really big for me. I've experienced quite a lot of things recently which have been really hurtful and painful to me, and I've tried to actually stay, that's my bird going off in the background, stay with unconditional love throughout it all. But there are times when sometimes we get so hurt, but that actually breaks all of those things down, and there's sometimes that we just have to get back to ourselves for a little while, even if it is just for a little while. So if someone does hurt me and harm me in a terrible way, the natural course is to ask for that other person to be hurt too. And that's what we tend to do. We want to hurt other people because they've hurt us. And this is where we create our own problems. So right at the very basis, we're all starting to, this person's done this, and I'm going to hurt back. So I'm asking this computer to harm this other person. And if I'm doing that, then I'm asking for harm to be done. And I know that this is where the pagan rule and witchcraft, that no spell or reading should ever be done without permission of that person and with ill intent, because that just goes against the total rules of witchcraft and paganism, that we do not do any ill will to anybody. And I'm saying we, that I don't actually label myself witch, and I've had a lot of people that have said that I have got, in my background history, a lot of witchcraft type energies, and people see things through my eyes for some reason. I have to tell them off sometimes for what they seem to tell other people. But many out there do this, and I've watched many videos that do harm in a big way, and that's quite upsetting to me because I know the rules, and they're not sticking within those boundaries. They're actually telling people to do harm. So prayers do harm and can be harmful as well if we're praying for bad things to people. And this is where we just keep going wrong all the time. We just want to make people hurt. Why do we do that? Why aren't we loving? Why can't we all be loving? So imagine this world and how it would change if we were all to think in a healing way and to pray in a healing way for everything to come right for everybody, not just for ourselves. Wouldn't that achievement in healing become something that is achievable? Wouldn't the search for the cancer search with intent, with better intent, happen with more vigour, where the people that are actually doing the research actually have a greater belief and everybody is backing them up behind that there's this belief, other than this other dualistic thought, we may not find the cure, what if we can't, that kind of thing goes on. For every man who believes in a prayer, there's another man who doesn't. And when two people pray for the opposite, obviously someone's prayer is going to go unanswered. And if 1 million people are praying for the same thing, only one can have it. And by definition, 9999 people will have their prayers unanswered. And they say the one which is stronger would actually get the outcome. But actually, if we're actually praying for the whole, rather than just personal stuff, then we can make a difference. I really believe we can make a difference. We can overcome diseases. I think that every disease that has actually manifested in the world somehow from something negative, and something positive can overcome those things. So if we're doing positive affirmations, doing positive thoughts of healing, then these things can change. So the problem is simple. Life is an illusion, and it's all built upon these energies that people believe is unchangeable and immutable, and so we don't believe that any action can change it. And this in itself is madness, for it's 1,000 times more credible. Mutable elements and 3 immutable essences, dually and eternally placed, is what God has put before us, has laid before us. The universe is laid before us within our DNA, and our this makeup, along with all nature of which we are interacting with. All of it is interchangeable, and these elements lie outside of ourselves and are changed by prayer and belief and action. And we mustn't ignore the reasons behind these beliefs, that you must look at the data rationally, and you can see what is happening. Everything we experience has changed and is subject to change, including how we think about things. So if we've got this anger and hatred about something, those can change within us. We are capable of changing and dropping all that anger and bitterness. If we drop that anger and bitterness, suddenly we're left with peace. And if we're feeling peace, then suddenly we can become happy again, because that's where our happiness lies, in all of us. And so when we're saying no to the influence of our beliefs and prayer, we're vibrating energy that is acting from ego, where it's saying no. Ego is saying no, this isn't working, it's putting up blocks. And we're saying no to the influence of our belief. Spitting the dummy, for instance, we all do that. I've done it, and acting from a place of lack, where we can't have what we want. I want it this way, this isn't working, so we spit the dummy and we don't go on that path anymore. So when we're forgiving and loving unconditionally, we're acting from a higher vibration, and we can change the world when we vibrate on the energies of love. And here we fall into alignment with one another, where mutual love is the true nature before ego and fear took hold. I've heard it said before that whether you're Christian or not, we would agree that people who ignore reality of their own ability to process factual information, they believe these people are the problem in the world. But the problem is much more serious, where they will deny that they are a small part of this world, and where they believe that it's stagnant and unchangeable. And rather than actually sort of changing themselves, they'll go out and try and change others by killing others because they believe a different way to them. One of these people that believe in this absoluteness of reality has said that people who ignore reality are not the sort of people that we want in positions of power, but power itself is something that is controlling and wanting to control everything. So why would you be in a position where you want to be subject to change in a negative way, in a physical way, to get rid of people that don't believe the same as you? Why can't we change it within ourselves, all of us, through love? So all this belief and everything that goes on is all subject to change, all of it. And so I sigh a deep sigh. These people, I think, who think that everything is absolute, are deluded, and they chastise people who pray and want to change things in energies in a positive way. So we believe in prayer. I believe in prayer. I believe that nothing is coincidence, that actually sometimes we fall out of alignment with things, and things happen because it's meant to happen. Everything has a reason behind it. And if something nice happens and you attribute that to God, for example, then He's answered your prayers. That's how a religious person would say it, but how I would say it is, if something nice happens, then you've fallen into alignment with positivity and good and love and the universal laws. And if you pray for something and it doesn't go to plan, or if something bad happens, then you've fallen out of alignment with truth or alignment with love. And for me, or those around you that have emotional blocks, if they place those fears in their path, then there's no way we can help, love, support. We can love, we can give love, we can keep giving it love. But if they've put in blocks up, then they've closed the door on that path. And we all give up when pain gets too much. Some have a greater tolerance level than others. And you can bet your life that the moment you give up on something intended, it will be because the fear has suddenly dropped. You've given up, you've gone, that's it, that's over. It tends to be a masculine thing that does, where the man, masculine energy tends to say, this is over, I've dropped fear. Suddenly, once that's happened, the path realigns and shows you what you could have had. Now, that is something that we all know happens, and it's because we've given up. If we could actually drop the fear and continue on the path, then these things can fall back into alignment again. God is not in any way sarcastic. You are growing when you witness these events, and if you keep going regardless of the fear, and when you forgive and when you do this, you've mastered the kinds of good things that you deserve, and they will fall into place. For me, prayer is not an irrational belief. It opens doors and ends the fear to know that the outcome is yours. And this opens doors that are logically related to the course that does influence your outcome. Thank you very much for listening today, and I really enjoyed actually doing this one today. I hope it helps people out there, and I love you all. Thank you for listening to me tonight. Namaste.